Are you having a hard time finding your perfect bar path for the bench press? Well, this is going to be the video for you because I'm going to help you iron that out. Let's get to it. Hey there, Brandon Smitley here from Thirst Gym, and today I'm going to help you iron out your bar path for the bench press. Now, you might find different opinions on this and different information, but the truth of the matter is when it comes to having a big bench press, you've got to have a really good bar path because 1 inch or 2 inch the other direction of where it really needs to be is going to limit the amount of weight that you can handle and press in competition. So I'm going to go over all the nuances you can to get that perfect setup so that you get that perfect bar path every single time you go to hit the platform or train the bench press. Our big part of ironing out your bar path on your bench press is going to be your setup. And I've got a full checklist of the setup stuff. I'm going to link that in the description box below to go into more detail of the setup position if you happen to need that. But what I'm really going to talk about here today is going to be setting the shoulders and getting that in an optimal position. Because when that's in an optimal position, we can then optimally press the barbell off of our chest, letting us lift as much load as possible. Before I get set up and show you this here, we really want to think about when we go to press, we're going to want that bar to move as much of a straight line as possible. It is going to move towards our face just a little bit for most people. It's not going to be exactly perfect up and down. That's going to be very hard to achieve unless you have to be an incredibly flexible lifter. So lightweight females, lightweight males are incredibly flexible. You will see them do this because they've got that massive arch and that barbell is literally just going straight up and down because they can get their shoulders right underneath the barbell, and that's all that has to happen. If you happen to not be super flexible, probably going to be the chance if you're watching this, more than likely than not, you're just going to try to get your shoulders as close to under the bar as much as you possibly can through your arch, through your T-spine. So really through that T12, T11 area. So when I get set underneath the bar here, regardless of whether you tuck your feet isn't going to really matter that much. If you tuck your feet, you are going to probably have a better arch and get those shoulders underneath that bar position and a better chance or opportunity. But if you understand that many people will have to bench press flat-footed, which is then naturally going to limit the kind of arch that you can have through your thoracic spine. So to first really do this, we want to make sure we maximize our grip. I've even got videos on the grip. I'll have all that stuff linked in the description box. But as I maximize my grip, get set up, I'm going to tuck my feet just so I can get my shoulders underneath as much as I can. Notice that what I want to try to do is get here. Okay, I want to really try to scrunch myself up because that brings my shoulders down in a more optimal position. So that when I unrack the barbell and it comes out, notice that it's more underneath my shoulders than if I'm up here. Okay, so if I'm up here, that barbell has to come closer towards my chin. And from a leverage perspective, the closer that barbell can get towards my feet and the lower that touch point is, the more leverage I'm going to have to be able to go to press that barbell up. So I'm going to be more likely to be able to press straight up and down from this position than I am if I start here and I have to come down and then back up. That big arching pattern is limited weight that could be moved because I'm having to continue to move the barbell over my face. You know, the fastest point is in a straight line. But we know that we can't maybe necessarily always get in a straight line, but as close as we can. So if that barbell is out in my shoulders, out in my lats, from that setup, from a straight down position, my elbows don't have to be incredibly tucked. They can be right where they need to be, and I can meet that bar with my lower chest, upper belly as I go to press. Now, notice if I'm more flat, I can't do that because now my shoulders are going to work to hold the bar here. And if I want it underneath my shoulders, that means the barbell is going to have to be more up here, which is going to put more undue stress on my upper shoulders to do the work, bigger stretch on my pecs, not an optimal position to be able to bench press as much as I want. So when we're setting those lats and we're setting those shoulders, pulling them down into that position so that barbell can come in a nice, perfect position. That way it's underneath my wrist and my elbows as I go to press, and you can add a little bit of flare to come over your face as needed if you can't get those shoulders tucked down and back as optimal as possible. So I'm going to show you this with a PVC pipe to make it from a side view a little bit more understandable. So if I'm set up and I'm arched and that barbell is in a position to where I can go straight up and down, I'm going to be able to lift more weight than if the barbell goes like this. Okay, so we know that gravity is going straight down and it's pushing directly into the barbell. So if I can push straight up, if that bench press is 315, I have to push more than 315 to get that barbell to come off my chest. But as the barbell begins to come this way, gravity is still only going down, so I'm having to press more than the 315 to continue to get it to move, right? Because the further we get away from that exactly perpendicular line of it going directly through the barbell, the more that force is now at an angle, which means I'm going to have to be able to apply more force than that to move it. Because to bench 315, theoretically I only need to be able to bench press 316 in a straight line. But if it's no longer a straight line, now I might have to be able to bench press 325, 330, 335, depending upon how off my leverages are. So the reason I wanted to show you this was that in that straight line position is going to be the most optimal. And again, I talked about we're going to have a little bit of motion towards the rack, but we want to limit that as much as possible. And so by being able to do that, having those shoulders pulled down, that arch maximized as much as we can is then going to allow me to be in a position to press. And so if we really look at why people raise their hips when they go to bench press here, basically what's happening is that as they're going to bench, they've got a good quality arch here, we'll say, and if they lose that arch, they're now more flat than they are in decline, because your decline press is more than your regular bench press, right? Because you're usually here, you've got a shoulder range of motion, your shoulders are underneath the bar, and now you have more leverage from all of your surrounding musculature to press that barbell up in this position than if you do here. So we want to be able to try to almost simulate a decline-based bench press position with our arch. So the better the arch that you can get, the more it's going to maximize that, not only from a decreased range of motion perspective, but just from a sheer leverage perspective. And that's why trying to press as much in a straight line as possible through that arch is going to let you maximize your bench press. So to be able to find that, maximize your setup and your arch as much as you can. So with this barbell, if I'm going to talk about this, again, your feet position are going to matter, so I can't tell you what your foot position is going to look like. But even if your feet are flat, the most people into the arch position, so I lift myself up as I go to unrack that barbell. I'm too far away, but as I go to unrack that barbell, is going to let me maximize this press versus if I'm like this and I've got a bigger, not only range of motion, but now that barbell is going to be arcing and moving a lot more because my shoulders are not directly underneath the barbell in a more optimal leveraged position. So for you as a lifter, the things I can recommend are working on your thoracic spine mobility, even if it's just as part of your warm-ups, but then also maximizing your arch that you have here, trying to meet the bar as you come down to keep that arch as much as you can, applying that leg drive to maintain it, and then going to press. But treating all of your reps the same, because as you do that over and over and over, you're gonna build the movement patterns to cut down the range of motion, to get that bench press line as straight as you possibly can, even though it's not gonna be always perfectly straight unless you have that massive arch already, which you're probably not watching this video. Then that's gonna help you maximize the amount of load you can get on the bench press bar and let you bench press more weight. All right, that's gonna wrap up today's video on finding your perfect bench press bar path, mainly focusing on your arch and your position of your shoulders. Everybody's gonna be different, and how flexible and how much thoracic spine mobility you have is really gonna be the determining factor here of what your bar path is probably gonna look like. The more you can arch, the more you can decrease that range of motion, the more straight your bar path is gonna be, which is then just gonna maximize your leverages to bench press more weight. Again, I recommend trying to work on that and improve that, but if you don't have that crazy arch, you just want to do your best to maintain the arch that you have and still bring those shoulders to meet the bar and keep those lats engaged and maximizing your setup. As I mentioned earlier, I have more videos in the description box below to help you with your bench press setup. I got lots of great stuff there that can just kind of intertwine with this to help you with that bar path, and that's going to ultimately set you up for a bigger bench press. So if you happen to like today's video, do me a favor, like, leave a comment, share with a friend, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and I'll see you at the next video.